Hi folks, Puffin here with your Antifa News Briefa for February 22nd, 2022. Happy 2/22/22. This one's about censorship and China and free speech and hypocrisy in America. Basically, I heard yesterday on Fresh Air, the NPR radio station, radio program, an interview with a guy who wrote a book called Red Carpet, Hollywood, China, about China and Hollywood movies and how the effect of China not letting certain movies into the Chinese market has affected Hollywood and censorship. I'm against censorship. I'm Antifa, of course. I'm also, full disclosure, super in love with China. I've always loved China, like since I was a little kid, and so I've always noticed the way we report on China since the 80s um, is racist and wrong. And I've always noticed there was something wrong with the way America talks about China. And it continues to this day. It was really wrong and racist during the Trump years, of course, but unfortunately continued with Biden. Biden just picked up where Trump left off being racist against China. And it doesn't make sense, and it needs to end. The example from Fresh Air yesterday was interesting and hypocritical compared to the way they talked about Trump's new social media platform coming out on NPR this morning, in which the very end of the report on Trump's new social, I don't know what his social media site is called, but I've heard of it talked about on right-wing radio, where they talk about how it's all about free speech. It's so much about free speech. Oh, it's going to restore free speech is their claim. The problem is NPR reports at the end of the report that the terms of service for this platform are you cannot criticize the backers, the supporters, the founding of the promoters of the platform. That's Trump. So you can't criticize Trump on the platform. That's not free speech. And that's all they're ever whining about China doing, is if China doesn't want criticism of China or things that they don't like depicted, then that censorship is because they don't want people criticizing them. Well, you're doing the same thing, so you have no room to talk and criticize. I think it is right to criticize people that don't allow criticism. That's, you seem to have something to hide if you don't allow criticism. Again, I give China full credit for doing things for the good of their people. I don't want to presume to know better than they do what the good of their people is. The truth is always good. Unfiltered information can obviously be bad. We've seen how misinformation got Trump elected in the first place, thanks to Putin and Zuckerberg, and made this virus situation into a terrible pandemic, the Trump virus genocide, because they intentionally spread it with misinformation. So we can see how information can be bad. Now, the types of things that China is banning or frowning upon from American media include things that make China look bad. So, understandable, the same principle, although if they have nothing to hide, then they wouldn't have to block anything. So I'm not saying they have something to hide, and that's why they're blocking something. I'm saying the way that we report on it is very hypocritical, because we have plenty of suppression and social media censorship and stuff in America. See my channel if you want evidence of that. It's terrible, and it's for the worst causes, for the worst reasons. So if China has things that they don't want depicted, like violence and sexual assault, things like this that they don't want depicted to their audience, it could be because they have the concern of their audience's psychological health and well-being. There could be good reasons for it. Now, they mentioned some other things, like China didn't let and had them change a scene where James Bond shot a guard because the guard was Chinese, and they said, well, this makes China look weak. Or it could be, it could have looked racist. I don't know what the scene was before it got changed. And they do things that include not allowing a certain movie. They mentioned not allowing a movie because it had the younger order challenging the older order. And I feel like, in a way, I'm super revolutionary and futuristic and want the young and the new to replace the old and wrong. At the same time, I feel like that's part of my complaint about USA being so racist against China. USA is a new country. Having criticism of China, which is very old and been around for a long time, Maybe we could learn lessons from China. And it makes you think in a bigger picture. There's things that when you're critical of something that's just better or truer than you don't know that it's better or truer than you. And so you can get stuck in a criticism that's really your own fault. Now, that brings me back to one of the other things. They've made a whole section of the interview on Fresh Air about how when Star Wars came out, John Boyega, who's black, was depicted, he's a main character in the movie, so he's depicted large on the poster in America. But when Disney made the movie in China, they depicted him small in the background. And this wasn't because China told them to do it. It's because Disney decided this would market better in China because China's not all about the diversity as much. It wasn't because anyone told them to do it. And then this type of reasoning reminds me of all the excuses Hollywood had for not depicting people of different races, different sexualities, all sorts of stuff. Just women heroes in movies, all sorts of stuff. Hollywood's excuse was always, well, people don't want to see that. That won't sell. But if you don't make it, you don't know. And basically, you're making that reality by having those beliefs. And so to blame that on China, no, that's your own racism. And if we remove the racism, we can all get along.